Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my live. I'm back after a short break, but yes, I'm back with a bang. Well, I'm Supriya Raja, and yes, I am the parent literacy coach, and I help empower parents to help their children to be curious readers and learners and holistically develop their child so that the child becomes successful through school years, confident through school years, and also remain a curious learner. Well, today's topic is a much awaited topic. In fact, I get a lot of questions from parents on this particular topic on social skills. So I thought, why not do a live on this topic where in which parents can use this content to help their child improve their social skills. So before we get going, I would encourage you to also put in the comment section whether you're watching live or whether you're watching as a replay. And also, if you think this live is going to be helpful, please don't forget to tag your friends and family so they also can benefit from this important live. So let's get moving. So, before we start, what do we understand by social skills? As a definition, social skills are the skills we use every single day to interact and communicate with others. They include verbal skills, like the way I'm speaking here, non verbal skills such as gesture, facial expression, body language, etc. So, that's what you see here: verbal skills, non verbal skills, interacting with other children, and also body language. So, why are social skills important? They are important as much as it's important for us as well as for children. And it's even more important that we inculcate social skills from children from a very young age. The reason why children also need to be incorporating or learned or taught appropriate social skills is it helps the children to build correct connections, to make friends. Some of them can become lifelong friends, to get along with people, because ultimately when a child gets along with other children, it helps the child integrate into a social fabric or a social structure easily. It also helps the child to learn from other children what are the appropriate ways of behavior, how to get along with other people, and also help the child to correct himself or herself on any kind of behavior issues. Because many times children learn and emulate from parents, of course, but also from peers and friends. Because peers and friends have a great influence in a child's life. So yes, social skills like helping child move with other children incorporates correction in behavior, also help the child look more happy, be more enthusiastic in school, and also even psychologically it helps a child to build cognitive skills, that is ability to think better, to reflect better, and also know how to use the social skills to develop relationship, lifelong relationship, such as caring and sharing, understanding empathy, understanding feelings, which are very important for the child to integrate into society as the child is growing to an adult. Yes, but not the least is that the child is also able to love oneself, have better sense of self-worth, better self-esteem within oneself. So you see how important social skills are for a child's adequate growth and development, and that too to be incorporated from a young age. Now, before we go into the next sections, we need to understand what are the signs that a child is showing inadequate social skills. The first thing is a lack of eye contact. It could be a lack of eye contact, it could be a fleeting eye contact, like it may not be sustained eye contact, it could be that way also, or that the eye contact is only for a short period of time and then it's gone. So this is something very important to pay observation, is if the child is making eye contact when talking to other people or other children. Like lack of eye contact could mean various things, that the child is not confident, the child is anxious, and also could mean a condition or a disorder such as autism. The next sign that a child is having inadequate social skills is that the child is unable to make friends. The child is wanting to make friends but doesn't know how to approach other children and how to make friends. So the child is feeling lonely, the child is feeling isolated, the child is feeling cut off, and that leads to the child feeling depressed and even more feelings of dejection, versus the child who is more easily able to make friends and surround oneself with a lot of friends. The next sign that the child is having inappropriate social skills or inadequate social skills is that the child asks a lot of irrelevant questions constantly. Now, what do you mean by irrelevant questions? Let me give you an example. I had a student, one of my students, who, of course, he was coming into the autism range on autism spectrum. So whenever he meets somebody, he had a fixation for animals. He loved dogs. So whenever he met a new person, even a stranger, or if he was introduced to a new person, whether it is an adult, whether the person was a child, whoever, this kid would actually ask questions such as, immediately the child will ask, "Do you have dogs? Do you have pets? Do you love pets?" And the same questions again and again and again, which was of course irrelevant because the child has just been introduced to another person, and that this particular question is irrelevant in that particular context. So this is an example of asking irrelevant questions in inappropriate situations, like when the child is not knowing the person very well, it's just been introduced, and asking a plethora of these questions which are not connected. The next thing is, as much as I say that the child is having a problem with making friends and not being able to make friends, the opposite, that is getting too close to people who may be strangers, is also a sign of inappropriate social skills or inadequate social skills. This is again exhibited by children who are diagnosed with autism. Now, if you need to know a little more about what autism is, it is a kind of a disorder where the part of the brain which is connected to the social development of the child is impacted. So the child will not be able to make proper friends. The child will be having a problem in social development. So the social skills will be impacted with the child who is being diagnosed with autism, whether the autism is mild, moderate, or severe. The other thing is, the child is not engaging in a meaningful conversation. This again comes a lot with children with having autism issues, wherein the child will not be able to engage in a conversation. It will be more like a monologue. Maybe the child will be either repeating, or the child will be just talking on a fixated topic which has no connection, no interest, but the child will be going on rambling. So here again, the child not being engaging in a two-way conversation is a sign that the child is not having appropriate social skills or inadequate social skills. The next sign the child is having a problem with social skills is interrupting conversations, having problem with impulsivity. This again goes with children who have a problem with attention issues, whether the child can't wait for the turn, the child will just have to blurt out the idea, the child wants to just talk about that wonderful movie he or she has seen and just can't wait for the two people to finish the conversation. So this is like interrupting conversation, and of course it is rude to interrupt conversation even in a normal setting. So a child who is young will have to be taught how to wait, how to pause, and not be impulsive and interrupt conversations. So interrupting conversations unduly, repeatedly is a sign of having inadequate social skills. The next sign the child has a problem with social skills is not using polite words. Because this again is something which has to be taught, which has to be trained, because a child as that young have to be taught how to talk to elders, how to talk to peers, how to talk to children who are younger than them. There are different ways of conversation, right? So when you talk of polite words, we will talk of thank you, we'll talk of excuse me, we'll talk of please, we'll talk of it's okay. So these are some of the polite words. Now, let me just add as a disclaimer, I'm not saying that you should use only English words like as polite words. There are wonderful words even in our regional languages, and ways to talk respectfully to elders, to talk respectfully to peers, even in our regional languages. So, well, it's just an example here that I'm using polite words connected to English. So it doesn't mean that you can't teach words which are in your mother tongue, which are socially appropriate and polite and respectful. Now, here again is another sign that the child has an issue with social skills is having conflicts with everyone. So, But it is one thing that the child may have a problem with a sibling, and which is normal, that siblings do fight, brother or sister, or sisters and sisters, or brother and brothers, they do fight. It's a very normal thing. But if the child is having conflicts with every single child or every single person, then there is something that to be concerned about, and that has to be addressed. And if these conflicts escalate to very aggressive behavior like name calling, using aggression like hitting, beating, biting, pulling the hair, and that is done consistently across various social situations and also many children, then of course it's important that it has to be addressed, because here is a problem with not just mere social skills, but also something more severe has to be addressed, that is anger management. The child doesn't know how to manage one's own anger, and the child doesn't know how to resolve conflicts with other children. So these are very important points to be noted and to be addressed and worked on. One is conflict management, anger management, and also being able to get along with other children, along with using the polite words. Now, again, these are this another sign that the child may have an inappropriate or inadequately developed social skill, that is repeating under words sentence, under person sentence. Like I said, kids who have autism will have this kind of a problem. Now, here, this is what is termed separately as echolalia, which means suppose you are talking, asking a question, the child instead of giving an answer to the question will be repeating the same question back to you. So it's like echoing that sentence back to you. Hence, for the term echolalia. So if the child is repeating whatever other person is saying, it is a symbol or a sign that the child's social skills have to be improvised, to be taught, and to be worked on. There again is another sign that a child, especially here again, a child with autism will be exhibiting, that is having an obsession over one topic, and versus having a complete obsession of one particular topic. That is, if the child has a an obsession over maybe train, like I had again another example of a student, the child had an obsession over train. So every conversation the child would have with me or anyone else would be about different type of trains, whether it is a bullet train, whether it is a trains in India, so and how a trains are running, the compartment design, everything. It was interesting to see that the child has such an in-depth knowledge. But the thing is, the child could not make a conversation on anything else. The child wasn't really interested to make a conversation on anything else. Suppose you ask any other question, the child would just answer in a single sentence or a single word. But then again, the child will come back to the same topic of trains. Now, one thing you can understand from what I'm talking here, the science, is that we can also look at the reasons why a child may have problem with social skills, what I would term as nurture versus nature. So when you say nature and nurture, it means that nature is like a predominantly inherent trait within a child, such as the child may be overtly anxious by nature, the child may be overtly shy by nature. It's not that the child has been taught to be shy or taught to be anxious. These are the child's predominant personalities that way. The child has a problem, the child is very scared to talk to new people. So, this is where the child's personality trait comes. The other thing would be the child is shy talking in front of a large crowd. Maybe the child won't have a problem with a one-to-one conversation, but then the child may have a problem talking to more than maybe 10 people, addressing maybe a class, making a class presentation, talking in front of many people. There again, it shows a child's lack of confidence, anxiety to face people and talk. So this comes under the category of nature or the basic trait of a child. So when we talk of the next section, that is nurture, that is the way the environment is at home, the way you are as a parent at home. Are you somebody who loves engaging people? Are you somebody who likes calling people over, having parties at home, or having social interaction at home? Because there you're actually exposing your child to these kind of atmosphere from a very young age. So the child is exposed from a young age to many people coming over, having parties, having interactions from young age. The element or the level of or the intensity of anxiety or shyness will be much less, versus if the child has never been exposed or has limited exposure to talking and interacting with other people. So this is very important in terms of creating the right environment in your own home. Second thing is, are you yourself able to talk to people? Are you yourself love talking to people, engaging with people? Because the child is watching you. If you are someone who loves talking to people, engages with people meaningfully, the child will also be inspired, motivated, and would love to do the same. Because, like I always say, children always emulate parents, right? Children don't listen to what you say, but only watch you and copy what you do. So if you're someone who engages in conversations, meaningful conversation, who loves talking to people, I wouldn't say chattering, but meaningfully, the child will also be interested and would be inspired to do the same. And the third reason, apart from nature and nurture, is a kind of a disorder, like I said earlier, is autism. So yes, autism does impact the social aspect of the brain, because of which the child is not able to engage in conversations, engage in social kind of a connection with peers or with adults or anyone. So the child, you will see that the child is using a little odd, it's the way the child engages is be very odd. There'll be a lot of oddities in the child, such as, like I said, fixation of a particular topic, echolalia, having no eye contact or fleeting eye contact, or being too close the other side, being too close to even strangers. All these are inappropriate social behaviors. So this is the third reason why a child may have problem with social connections or making proper social, exhibiting proper social behaviors. So the other sign, like I said, yeah, so let's get back to the reason, like I said, is nurture and nurture, nature and nurture. So, what we can do to help our child develop adequate social behaviors, social etiquettes, and be able to confidently move in a social setting? How to help? So the first thing is exposing the child to social situations. Having children come over, having the neighborhood children coming over, or having play dates, sending your child to other child's house, maybe for an overnight stay, like a pajama party, or even for a few hours. And if you think a child is young, too young, you would want to have a more guided kind of interaction, where you and other parent is sitting somewhere in the vicinity, but the children are engaging in some kind of social interaction, whether sharing a toy, playing with some toys, or having some engaging in some play without getting into too much of fights. So it's a kind of a guided thing, but still you are giving the opportunity for the child to interact with other children. Another way of exposing is not just exposing the child to other children, but exposing the child with adults also, which is very important. It is important and imperative that the child also knows how to talk to adults in a respectful way, because that is also going to be impacting the way adults respond back, and how that's going to also impact the child's overall self-esteem. When the child is receiving appreciation from adults, oh, he is so respectful, oh, he or she is talking so well, very good beta, very nice beta. So when the child hears all that, the child will feel, wow, this is good, I'm good. So when you are actually teaching the child how to interact with adults, the child will also get very positive reinforcements in the form of appreciation and praise, and that will reinforce the child to again exhibit those kind of behaviors and be encouraged to interact with adults. Like I said, calling friends over, which is important. You can have one single friend calling over, or many multiple friends, having a small party frequently. So the child's level of fear and anxiety will come down because of constant exposure to social situations. That is, if the child is shy, that is, if the child is having anxiety. And the child is having autism also, it's not a problem. You can always call other children, but ensure that the child is able to not get overwhelmed, too much overwhelmed with too many kids around him, because kids with autism, they can't take too much of crowd constantly at them. So in such a case, you can have another single child or maybe two children who are not going to make the child feel overly overwhelmed by their presence. But those kids who are little older, and helping the child to engage in meaningful conversation, to engage in correct social behavior, so that the child, the other children who come over, are little older and they understand this child's difficulty as well. So this will also give a child practice to talk to other children, practice to engage with other children. This is a very good method you can use. The next thing is teaching polite words. Like I said, the polite words such as Welcome, hi there, what's up, thank you, it's all right, I'm sorry. These are polite words that it definitely helps a child to present oneself in social situation, in social context, in the right way, in the appropriate way. Now, this is something that you can use if your child is not able to engage in proper social appropriate behaviors. That is, going in, suppose a child is going to a restaurant and the child is constantly running around, the child is screaming. You want to help the child beforehand, before going to maybe a restaurant or going to a marriage, going to a party, how to behave. You can actually practice at home using role play, such as, okay, I'm the host, you're the guest, how do you behave? So this is very powerful way for the child to understand how a situation will be or future situation will be, and how I am supposed to behave in that situation. This you can use even for kids who don't have autism and also kids who have autism, because they now understand, okay, when I'm going to hotel, I have to sit quietly, I can't be screaming, I cannot be running around, and this is not right. And when you use these role plays and give adequate feedback and appreciation, the child will know exactly what to do. So instead of saying, don't run around, don't shout, don't do this, tell the child what to do in a social situation. That is much more easier for them to understand. And role play is a powerful way for the child to comprehend how to behave in a social context. This is a very crucial area when children are learning social behaviors from a young age. That is helping the child to learn conflict resolution, because many children have this issue of anger management, wherein the child doesn't know how to handle conflict. They may end up hitting or beating other children. Let me tell you, my own son, when he was that age of 5 years, he did have a problem with this. He was very aggressive. He would just go and thrash up his friends, bullies. Like, he had his best friend who was a very timid child, and that best friend was being bullied by another child. So my son would just go and thrash or bash up the other kids, because he felt, okay, he is beating my best friend, I'm going to protect him. And this was leading to a lot of problem, because I had a big fear that this is going to land him up in big trouble, and that I wasn't sure when I'm going to be called by the teacher or by the principal that, hey, your son is being very aggressive and beating up that other kid. Fortunately for me, his teacher was good and she understood that he had this difficulty of anger management, and she also trained him. So from a young age. So this is very important, that if you find a child being very, very aggressive, it is important to teach those anger management skills from a young age, and teach them how to solve conflicts by being assertive and not being aggressive, by not raising hands but by talking in respectful way. So these tactics I also employed by helping, by being in a joint effort with his class teacher, and we both worked together like a team and helped my son to reduce and to know how to manage conflicts, how to manage his own anger. This is a very powerful method you can use, which is called social stories. Again, these are usually used for children with autism, where these are picture cues available, and you can show to your child appropriate forms of behavior. Like here, how the child is, made is taught that, okay, if a child is talking to me, the child is trying to interact with me. So the child doesn't feel what is this happening here, but the child slowly understands through these picture cues that other child is trying to talk to me, so I must also talk to the child. So you can use this picture cues of right and wrong. Like if the child, for example, is having this habit of putting the legs on the table. This also happened with another child, one student of mine who was coming for remedial classes. He used to put his feet up on the table during the class. So what we did was we drew picture cues of appropriate forms of behavior, like a picture with the child putting the leg on the table and putting as cross, saying no, this is not the right way. The other picture showing the child sitting properly and be putting a tick mark and saying this is the right form of behavior. So showing picture cues as to how you should be behaving in particular context. This will give a very good way of to teach the child in a very appropriate way how to behave in a social context. This is another important thing of teaching feelings to kids. Again, here children who are not able to understand or need to develop the concept of empathy towards another children, you can use these picture cues again to teach feelings, like showing pictures of children with happy face, sad face, scared face, surprise face and asking the child to emulate this expression and giving a label to this expression for the child to know, okay, this means happy, this means anger, this means sad, afraid. So the child starts copying you. You can use this especially if the child is having autism again. You can also show a mirror to the child and ask the child to emulate these same feelings and emotions. So the child knows that these are different form of emotions. The next thing is you could probably connect this emotion to particular settings. Like, when do we feel happy? Why is this girl feeling happy? Oh, she's feeling happy because it's her birthday. Why is she feeling sad? Oh, she's feeling sad because there's a lot of homework for the child to do. Why is this child getting scared? The child is scared because the teacher is scolding him. Why is this child feeling angry? This child is feeling angry because sister broke his toy. So connecting feelings and emotions to a particular context help the child to understand, okay, these are the usual feelings a person can have in these kind of usual settings. This is a very good way to again introduce a child to the concept of understanding feelings, developing empathy towards oneself and to other people. Then again, you can use reinforcements rewards like appreciation, giving a small sticker, telling other people, see, this kid was so good in the restaurant. I'm so proud of you that you were sitting very well in the restaurant. I'm so happy that you did, or I'm so glad the way you talk to other children was fun. I was wonderful, and I really appreciate that. So using rewards and reinforcement in the form of appreciation, in the form of some simple stickers, whatever. But this would be a very good reinforcement for the child to exhibit the same behavior again and again. So if you like this particular live of mine, I do have a Power Reading 2.0 program where I'm personally coaching parents to not just have their child do good in school in terms of literacy skills of reading, spelling, syntax, but also a holistic development for the child, such as enhancing social skills, developing memory, knowing how to study. So if you are interested for me to coach you, to know, to help your child on a more deeper level to be more successful in school on a holistic level, and you want your child to be confident through school years, being a confident reader, learner, and also know how to move along to get along with other children confidently, to consider my program, Power Reading program. If you want to know more about that, you can come for a one-to-one call with me. I'll put the link below, so you will we can have a one-to-one chat and you will know more about what I'm offering. So until my next live, have a great day and happy reading and happy parenting. Bye bye.